Hey y'all. Alright, as you can see, we're back out in the garage again, and you're probably wondering, oh my god, what on earth is he doing? Now don't worry, don't worry. There is going to be a big explanation for all of this. This is all going to tie in together, okay? So, back on the cylinder heads, the Mopar 360 596 casting cylinder heads. So, I have a book here that tells me a lot about the Mopar. It gives me all kinds. How to Hot Rod Your Small Block Mopar by Larry Shepard. If you don't have one of these books, they're by HP Books. Mine is pretty old and is almost falling apart, but still very valid, very useful. Okay, so here we go. 596 right there. Chamber volume 66 to 72 cc's. So, let's see right up here, chamber volume. Okay, now let's look at our friend, the 302 casting number 318 head. So where are we? Here we go. 56 to 65. Okay, now I've happen to have one of those heads sitting here, and I've got the 596 head sitting here, and what I'm gonna do is I got some water, and I've got a syringe. I'm gonna fill this son of a gun up, and I'm gonna see how many, and I've got this sealed to this with some grease, and I'm gonna see how many cc's it takes to fill up the chamber. Okay, so we'll get started with that. And I'm just using just a regular old thing here. Okay, none of this is high dollar. This is some scrapyard plexiglass. Okay, I just drilled a hole in it and cleaned it, sealed it to the head. So I'm going to start taking keep track of how many of these it takes to fill this up. Okay, so I've got one in there so far. Now, this is going to be kind of boring to watch. Okay, I don't want you to be bored. I want you to learn something. I want you to be excited to see this. Why am I doing this? Well, if I figure out the cc's of this combustion chamber, I can figure out, do I need to use a really thin head gasket? Do I need to use a thicker head gasket? What is my compression going to be with these heads on that engine? Okay, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, and now we know from the book that the 302 head is going to be less, and we can see that. We can actually look at the head, and we can see that it's going to be less. But I want to have some sort of, way that I can do this in a methodical kind of manner and have some results from it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got two of them in there. Here's my third one. And I'm going to pause this, and when I get it full, I'm going to come back, bring you back, and we're going to see how many it takes. And we're going to add them all up. All right, be right back. Okay, y'all. It took 5 of these plus about 7 cc's to fill up the chamber. So that means, well, let's see, wait a minute, hold on. 12, we were at 12, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay, wait a minute. So So that wouldn't be 67, it'd be 65. 5 times 2 is 10, but then 0, carry 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 5, and then 1 and 5 is 6, because you had to carry the 1. And then we have the other 5 cc's that were put into the chamber to finish it off, and that gives us 65 cc's on that chamber. So that is just a 65 cc's. That puts us really, really good. So I was hoping I was going to be closer to the 66 than the 72, and it looks like I am. So, not too shabby. Now, I've got a little air pocket forming right here because I probably have a little bit of a leak somewhere. A slow leak. But this gets us very, very close, okay? So now, I'm going to hang on to this piece of cardboard because it's going to tell me 65 cc's. Now, why doesn't this match what the book says? Well, because this is, you know, this is what they're saying it's going to be, somewhere in that neighborhood there, okay? Now, 65 is not very far from 66. We're talking 1 cc, okay? So, let's go ahead. All right, pull that off of there. You can see what I've done there. Okay, so I'll get this, sorry about that. Let's sit down here and get that out of the way. But we're also talking about a factory casting here, factory machining and milling processes. We're talking that kind of stuff, okay? So there can be some small variance between one head to another, even one chamber to another on the same cylinder head. So I can maybe get that other head that's still over there in the cleaner, just like this one, measure a chamber, and it might be 66, it might be 67. Who knows? So, this is a way you can do this at home, dirt cheap. Okay? So, the white grease, you know, you don't have to use necessarily white grease. You can use any kind of grease here. Just seal this up to your plexiglass. Hopefully, you've got a clearer, better piece of plexiglass than I do. I had a better piece of plexiglass somewhere, and I misplaced the damn thing. So, there you go. Oh, well. Life goes on. So, okay. Now, while we've got these valves sealed into this chamber here, why don't we see what this head is going to be like before I start porting it? That's right. Yes, I said it. I'm going to port this head. And I'm going to take you all along with me and show you all how I do that. Now, I've already ported a set of these heads once before. And I've ported the head in the slant 6 that's in the Barracuda here. And it was pretty effective because this engine runs really hard. So, when I mean really hard, I mean pretty strong. So, what I'm going to do is just get the rest of this water out of this chamber, and then I'm going to probably do the intake side, fill up the intake side, see how much water it takes to fill that up in cc's. Okay? So, I'm going to pause this, and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, I'm back. And I'm filling up the intake port and seeing how much volume it'll hold. Looks like about 11 of these. Yeah, 11 of these syringes. That's 12 cc's each. So, let's go over here and do some super secret ciphering. Okay, so 11. And let's see. Hold on a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. Had to think about it a minute. I'm not a math expert, so, but we've got 132 cc's in that intake chamber. Now, why am I doing that right now? Well, I want to know where I'm starting from, okay? So that's what I want to do. I want to know where I'm starting from. I want to know what am I going to be gaining if I go and I go and port all of this out, you know, on the intake side, and I do the porting. What am I gaining? Am I gaining, you know, 20 cc's or 30 cc's or 40 or whatever? Now, this is a way to measure this, okay? So, and this is an easy way to measure this, and you can do this at home, and you can figure out, you know, am I gaining anything here or am I not? So, if you can open this up all the way through, then you can gain some, okay? That's why I'm doing this. So, all right, now, I'm going to get this water out of here, and then I'm going to do the exhaust side, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, y'all, I went and I filled this up, and it holds 136 cc's. Okay, so the exhaust has a little bit of an edge over the intake side, but that's okay. So 136 cc's, intake side is 132. So why I'm doing this is to make sure that I'm actually gaining something, because I'm going to do this again after this, all my porting work is done, and you're going to see, you know, hey, this worked out, this was a great idea, you know, I'm going to replicate what he's done. So, or I'm going to do some of what he's done. The thing is when it comes to porting a cylinder head, it's not terribly hard, okay? It really isn't. It's cake, really, in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of people think, oh God, no, it's really difficult and hard and complex, but it really isn't. The basic thing is, what you want to do is you want to just basically, you want to make the flow coming into the engine as effortless as possible. Okay, that's what you want to do. Now, why I'm using water to do this is so I can see, I have a reference. I don't have a way to, it's harder to measure air in there, but water, it's like, oh, okay, hey, we can do that with water, you know, or some other liquid, rubbing alcohol, something like that. So, now, that all of that out of the way, let's get down to some basics, okay? Top fives of porting a cylinder head, okay? So, I wrote myself some notes here. So, what are the top fives of porting a cylinder head? And these are tricks you can use on just about any cylinder head out there, okay? It doesn't matter what kind of engine it's off of, okay? So, let me get these valves. I'm going to stick them over here. So, now, let's get some more light on here, so you all can see better, have a better chance of seeing everything. I do want to say thank you so much to everyone, all the subscribers, all the likes, the shares, and everything like that, all the thumbs ups. It's really been great. I really appreciate it. Now, other people have gone on and made videos like this, and you know, but they don't. Some of them do highlight where you need to be working at and your best bang for the buck. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Your best bang for the buck is going to be in the throat area here. Okay? Now, if we look, you can see how rough it is in there. Okay? There is a lot of roughness in there. And there is a lip. There is a lip just inside here that you really need to cut out. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you me cutting that out right now. I'm going to get my die grinder and a bit, and I'm going to cut that son of a gun down and cut it out, and you're going to see it. You're going to see the improvement. And I'll show you. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. Alright, so we need some sort of gauge to see the progress that you're going to be making. So I've got a 13/16 impact socket. It goes down in there, all the way down. Okay? And if you notice, it goes about that far down. Okay? So we can't put 7/8 in there. So I'm going to get my die grinder, and I'm just going to work on that here for just a couple of minutes. So here we go. Okay, I know there's a lot of noise, but let's see. Here's my 7/8 ratchet socket. See, it's a bit, not yet. Close. That one goes right down in there. See, actually, see, it go down in there a little easy. So, I'm going to pause this, work on this a little bit more, and come right back. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Now, look in here now. This is just like 15-20 minutes of work right here. Okay? I've taken down that ledge that was in there. Okay? That ledge is all gone. Now, remember, 13/16 could go right in there. Okay? Now, watch this. Here's my 7/8. 7/8 Craftsman socket. Goes right in there. No big deal. And watch this. Here's 15/16. It's a little snug, but it goes in there. Okay? So 15-20 minutes of work in here, and I've already made a big improvement. Now, so let's go back to our cardboard over here. Okay? Your top 5 things you're going to be able to do at home porting let me just go ahead and tell you the truth of it. It's going to take time, but it's going to be very rewarding because it's going to be big. You can make some nice gains here. This is where you're going to make power, folks. Right here, the cylinder heads. Okay? Now you can go get a big cam, and you can get a big intake and a big carburetor, you know, an ignition system that'll throw a flame, you know, for spark, you know, a mile long if you want to. But you want to make power, you want to make some real power, it's right here in cylinder heads. Airflow. Get the air in, get the exhaust out. Okay? That's how you're going to make power. You know, that's where you're going to really make power. You have if you have a really good set of heads, you don't have to have a big, ginormous cam in order to make power. You can do really well without having a huge, enormous camshaft that you have to live with. So, your top 5 things are going to be your port window opening, port matching. Okay, port window opening, port matching. So that means, get my, so your port window, your port right here. Okay, more you can open this up to match your exhaust gaskets. So we'll just take this gasket here. Here we go. Here's an exhaust gasket. Okay. You match. All right. You see how we got a little difference there. And you take like a marker, just a regular old Sharpie marker or something like that. Probably take like a bolt, put in here, and hold that up. Hold on a minute. Let me do this. There we go. That's better. So, you come around here, you mark out all of this material here with your Sharpie. Okay? You mark all of that out. And then when you do, you'll mark all of that out, and then you'll take your die grinder and you'll grind all of that material out. Okay? The reason for that is you can grind all of that out and you can improve flow. Okay? Because really, these ports, they kind of open up more as you go on in. So it's kind of weird, you know, but it's the way they are. Same goes for the intake side. And something else is that the exhaust, if you pay attention here, you look, there's a little hump. You can see it right there. There's a little hump in the roof there. Let me get something, see if I can get something to point that out to you. There is a hump in the roof right there. And, oh, good grief. I'm trying to get my camera to cooperate, work with me here. So, anyway, there's a hump right here, okay? And take that down some. Focus on the roof. Don't be so concerned with the floor. Focus on your roof, okay? Take that down, okay? And you can gain a little more flow. Work on your roof and your port window opening. All right? Then, exhaust side. So that's 1 and 2. Okay? Intake side. What we're going to do on the intake side is we're going to work on, in here, we're going to work on this pinch right here. Now we're going to port match the intake too. So you would do the same thing. Oh boy. You do the same thing over here. Alright, so you'd put your your intake gasket you're going to use. So I'll tell you what, I've got an better intake gasket. Let me go get it. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. So I got this intake gasket up here, and I'm not going to use these. I've had a little trouble with them before. My regular viewers, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, but we would do the same thing here, port window, and then we're going to work on, whenever we get the port window ground out to match our intake gasket, we're going to go and we're going to work on this pinch here from the push rod tube. Okay, so that's going to be really important. That pinch right there, that disturbs airflow. We're going to also work on the roof too. Okay, now I have some intake gaskets I'm going to use on this engine. I don't want to get them out because I don't want to get them dirty and take a chance on damaging them and stuff like that. I want to keep them in the package, so I hope you understand, okay, what I'm trying to illustrate here. So, now, what I was working on earlier was the throat opening. So, oh, goodness, get over there. Right, so what I was working on over here earlier was the throat, okay? That throat right there. So I'm working on opening that up. That's why I was using these sockets to illustrate opening this up. I've gained airflow, okay? Now you see this one here hasn't been touched. That's of course the intake. Let's go over here to this exhaust. This exhaust hasn't been touched at all. See how this neck's down? See how bad that is? All right, see how this is? This is opened up there, all right? You want a comparison? Here we go. There's my 13/16. Where's my, yeah, here's my 7/8. See, won't go in at all. 13/16 goes right in. 7/8 doesn't go in at all. Hey, wait a minute. Look at there, falls right in. So, now, back in the day, they used to have like these porting templates. And a lot of companies sold them. They don't do that anymore. A lot of people don't port their own heads anymore. Well, when you're like me, you don't have money to spend on like you know, Edelbrock heads or something like that or whatever. This is what you do. You make your own horsepower. So that's what I'm doing here. Now, guide, the valve guide. This is where you can also make some gains too, because you're opening that up, okay? You're opening that up, you're smoothing all of this out. This is your roof, okay? This is the roof of the exhaust port, okay? Now, you're going to do the same thing here in the intake port. There's no differences. Now, the only real difference is in the exhaust, we want to make it nice and smooth, okay? I can feel that hump right in there. So see where my finger is? That's where that hump is I was talking about earlier. But the intake side, we're going to go and we're going to open that up, and we're going to try to make our the reason why we want to take this down. We open this up, this port window up, and make it a straighter shot to get in there. Okay? That's what we want to do. So we want to open this up and see. Alright, so that goes in there, but just barely. Alright, so that's what we want to do. We want to open these up. We want to take down the valve guide some. Okay, we want to cut it down. We want to smooth it out. And we want the air to not have as hard a time getting in there. Okay, so when the air comes in through here and up through here, we want it to have an easier path. So on the intake side, we're going to leave it a little rough. The reason why, we want to create turbulence, some turbulence. And that keeps that fuel and air mixture in suspension with each other. And also, if you're you also are going to, I'm also going to work on the port, the son of a gun, the roof. So I'm going to work on the roof of the port here. All right. Now, any of these cast iron heads like this aren't going to be perfect. Okay. There's going to be some variances. There's going to be some differences. But the main thing is, what you want to do is you want to get your head prepared, and you can do this, and you can do this inexpensively. Now, yes, the biggest expense you're going to probably face is the burrs themselves, the carbide burrs. Now, please try to get yourself a really good one, a really good high quality one. This one in particular, I've had a friend give this to me, and which really surprised me, but he thought that well of me. But I've had this for years, and it's never given me an ounce of trouble. And I've ported at least 3 different cylinder heads with it. These here are some I bought not long ago off the Cornwell tool truck, and they are the very long ones, the extra long reach ones. You know, you can get these also through companies like Summit Racing, Jags, maybe even Speedway Motors. So just get on the old interweb there and start looking around for those. Die grinder. I've got an Ingersoll Rand. You don't have to have an Ingersoll Rand. You can have, if you have compressed air, you can have like an old Campbell Hausfeld, Chicago Pneumatic, whatever, Central Pneumatic, you know, Harbor Freight Special, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you don't have compressed air, don't worry. There are die grinders that you can get that are electric. Again, Harbor Freight. I think the last time I checked on one was about a year ago or so, and it was like 50 bucks. Not a bad deal. So, if you're going to do this, you know, it doesn't cost a fortune to do this. Okay, it takes some time, takes some patience, and you know it's going to take some of your time, some of your patience to get this done. But when you get in there and you start working on this stuff, you can make a difference. There is a difference to be made. I mean, I worked on this one port, something like 15, maybe 20 minutes tops, and I've already improved my airflow over this. See the diameter of that? Okay, we went to that, and here's, yeah, and now that. So we went from these 3 different diameter sizes that can now go in here easily. Okay, so that's just something to think about. It's really impressive when you can go and you can do this and you can start making some, you know, serious power with just a little bit of time. All right, now I've rattled on plenty long enough. This video's long enough. It's 30 minutes. So just remember, top 5 things to do: port window opening, port matching, exhaust hump in roof, intake push rod pinch, throat opening, bowl valve guide, bowl valve guide. I spelled bowl wrong. Okay. Anyway, bowl valve guide, cut down. So there you go. There's your top 5 things to do when you're porting your cylinder heads. And please do be aware, do use your safety gear, your personal safety gear, safety glasses, some sort of hearing protection. You know, that way when somebody's talking to you, you're not sitting there saying, huh. You actually can hear them, and you're not having all sorts of issues with tinnitus. Okay. All right, so I thank you so much for watching. If there's any questions about this or anything else, you know what to do. You all are smart. Just drop it down in the comment section down below, and I will do my very best to help you out. Okay? I appreciate you all, and thank you so much, and have yourselves a great day. God bless.